I really don't like to say this, but at times Italy has been a very scary place for me.
The Italians really use the trains in Italy as a wonderful resource to rob people. That's just what they do.
Here are some of the clever tactics that I know have been used on Italian trains by the thieves that work there. Passengers have been gassed through the air conditioning duct. When they woke up, their cash and other valuables were missing. Expensive-looking bags have been switched for empty ones. Rick Steves, the travel guru, got caught not too long ago by the luggage swap trick. The thieves snatched his bag off the rack and were off the train in Milan before it ever left the station. When Rick realized his loss, he checked his AirTag data. It showed his bag moving through the streets of Milan while Steve was halfway to Venice on the train. On another unfortunate occasion, a hire baggage car has been detached while stopped at a station, then continued its climb through the Alps. One of the favorite ploys is to create a confusion over whose seat it is. And don't let anyone offer to carry your luggage if you don't want them to. Then, of course, there's a plain old run-of-the-mill pickpocket who's after your phone or wallet. This is a story of how my family almost got caught on an Italian night train. But first, here's the enchanting prequel that led up to the nightmarish incident on that Italian train.
My husband wanted to save on
Hotel charges for 2 adults and 4 children. Well, do you blame him?
So this is what we did. We got a Eurail pass.
Eurail pass was more flexible in 1970.
And we would get a night train that went down to whatever station would get us to someplace the next morning instead of in the evening. In those days, went slower at night so people could sleep on them and not wake up in the middle of the night and have to get off the train at their destination. I called it shoelacing through Europe. So if we wanted to go to Switzerland, we would go down to Rome first and then get on the train after a good night's rest.
And a day of checking out Rome, of course. So we'd get on the train again, no reservations necessary, find an empty compartment that's designed for 6 people, and bed down for the night. Bring out our dinner and wake up in Switzerland, where we wanted to go 2 days ago, but we had an extra trip to another city and 2 free hotel nights.
Then if we wanted to go someplace nearby, we would go to the Czech Republic first and then back.
That was near the other place where we just were. But don't get any ideas about doing this yourself because Eurail Pass changed the rules. What's more, they don't have those wonderful compartments anymore that can be slid down to come together and create a bed. We were even on one of these steam engine trains in 1970 or 1980. In Italy,
they were still using some old steam trains on some of the more remote routes, and that's where we were going. We were going to deliver a piece of art
created by my sister, Barbara Bertino, to the
Spaghetti Museum in Ponte d'Asio.
I also delivered a copy of my newly published book, Noodle Doodle.
From what I learned, you could still visit that museum, but the factories moved from Ponte d'Asio to another city, and you would need to get permission to visit there. I remember seeing this picture in the museum. We were waiting for the train in the train station. The outside near the platform was a big shelter. There was kind of an echo going on. The train had pulled up, but we weren't allowed to get on it yet. Or a couple of trains had come and gone. So because it was a tiny little whistle stop. And speaking of whistle stops, the steam trains have a very unique whistle. And I learned how to do that whistle. It drove the station masters crazy
because it wasn't time for the train to pull out of the station.
So I'm going to give you that sound. This is the Italian train whistle sound.
Yes, that was actually me. I'll do it again. How would you like to hear it one more time in slow motion? I'll bet you're not believing me, but it is true. Sometimes I use it when doing pet photography, and boy, that really makes those animals perk up their ears. That's got to be one of my finest impressions. However, I have to admit, it doesn't sound nearly as good as it did on the cavernous platform of a small Italian train station. And fog made it sound even better.
Ponte d'Asio is on a lovely hill overlooking a beautiful river. I remember the river was like no other I'd ever seen.
The water's coloration must have come from the type of rocks it was running over.
It was a light aqua blue, so I couldn't resist. I always have to explore wherever I go. So I went down to the river's edge, and guess what I found? It was this beautiful lock that came from a door. I've treasured it for so many years. Even has a key that fits in the lock. I guess it's about time to turn it over to my son because he's also inherited that love for old rusty things. I don't bring home souvenirs that other tourists do. I bring home things like this.
The day before our appointment with the Spaghetti Museum, our family-run hotel asked us what we wanted for dinner, and they motioned for us to come and inspect a bucket of eels. We nodded yes and were not disappointed. Even our children ate them. But they did not see the before picture, only the after picture that looked like onion rings. In the morning, Papa Agnesi met us at the museum and gave us a tour and gave us a very interesting history of pasta and also of their pasta company that was founded in 1824, the oldest in the world. We made our presentations of book and pasta art, and then we had a surprise invitation to lunch where I was served an octopus salad. It was absolutely delicious. I don't get paid for saying this, but I think Agnesi pasta is the best. Originally, in the 1800s, they had a very special grain shipped over from Ukraine. That's why, of course, they use a ship as their logo. After our exciting stay in Ponte d'Asio, it was time to gather up the kids and board a train to head back to Oman-Opa in Germany. An image created by AI gave me an extra child here. Yes, AI doesn't always get it right. Also, we did not have to sleep in a pile like shown here. After our customary dinner, which we all loved, we pulled down the seats to have them meet in the middle and form a bed. This is sort of how we looked on the all-night train ride that would take us back to Germany. Sorry, AI, I had to take over your job as an artist here. Before we went to sleep, I remember my husband telling me about the Italian train where everybody was gassed and then robbed when they went to sleep. Now, that doesn't make for very sweet dreams. During the night, I felt someone or something pawing around on my body. They seemed to be trying to get under my coat. I thought it could have been my husband, but I quickly realized it was not my husband trying to get friendly, and there were no extra seats in this compartment, so my sleepy brain told me no one else had any business in there. So I yelled, "Get out! Get out!" Train conductors aren't around in the middle of the night on Italian trains, or maybe they're paid to stay asleep. So we tried to go back to sleep until the morning. Our compartment door was still a bit ajar when we woke up. A woman came running down the aisle yelling, "Hilfe, Hilfe, jemand hatte meine Tasche gestohlen." You might guess someone had stolen her purse. That is a real nightmare when you're traveling. That's why I always sleep with my purse and other valuables, including my camera. In another Italian story, I wasn't so lucky, but I'll tell you that another time. Don't be afraid to subscribe to this video. It's free. And they'll send you more of my videos when they're ready. So until then, live happy and stay healthy. Bye-bye.